Hi, everyone. Kunimitsu here. You've already read the title of the video. You know what we're going to be discussing. Today, I have a friend here who's going to help me with this discussion. Go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hi, my name is Vio. I'm one of Kinamitsu's friends. I usually come on here to talk about shit. It's been quite a while, but yeah. So, what's the
Hmm.
topic of discussion for today?
You can run the routes for me. Just keep going.
Oh, I guess she has something she needs to do. Let's give her a moment.
Sorry about that. Had to answer a family call. We are going to be discussing the Thousand Year Door remake, and we're going to be discussing some of the criticisms that people have with the remake, from the really minor stuff to the major stuff, and just whether or not these criticisms are warranted or valid, or basically if we feel people are overreacting. So we'll start with the most minor things. Let's start with some of the dialogue changes. We've seen a little few snippets here and there. We already knew they were going to change some of the dialogue for some of the scenes. So I guess we could start with the dialogue
Okay.
change that is like the most discussed. The cat calling. Why don't you start with that one?
I don't think it's that much of a big deal. It, yeah, in the original game there was a lot of misogyny in it. I want to say, but it's not extreme. Let's be alarmed kind of stuff. So you have to remember, this was like 2004, early 2000s. This type of shit, it would have been okay, like back then. But like now, like how I'm not keep saying people are sensitive. I'm saying like the world's different. Some we got like more tolerance or less tolerance and stuff, and yeah, stuff like that, or other things that we're gonna get into aren't really that big difference to me. Really, it's the only thing I'm concerned about is if the game is just as enjoyable as the original.
That's a very good point. And it is also important to know. We'll talk about the other
Which I
dialogue.
bet you it's. You know,
Go ahead. I'm sorry, I cut you off.
oh no, you're fine. You're fine.
Oh, I was just going to add. We'll get to the other dialogue changes in a second, but the reason we're starting with the cat calling is because that's the main thing people are talking about. Is, oh, how dare these Goombas not still cat call Goombella? So let's actually review the original scene and see if it's really something to be warranted about. So the cat calling Goombas, they show up before you get to chapter one, before you even get to the first boss, before you even get to that area when you go into the sewers. They are an extremely
They
minor
show up
part of the
literally after
story.
a bit after the tutorial fight.
Mhm.
They're just there to serve as a tutorial on Like when to and when not to jump and use your hammer and shit.
Yeah.
Like
They're
it's
not,
really not that big of a fucking deal
yeah,
because
they're not important
it's
to the
not that
overall
big of a
narrative.
fucking deal because again they pop up like once and never again.
Mhm. They do not serve any
Yeah,
purpose in the narrative, and changing their dialogue also changes nothing to the narrative at all. Again, am I personally offended by, what the original dialogue was? No. Do I think the new dialogue is bad? No. Do I think it's going to affect me purchasing this game? No, it really doesn't, because again, it changes literally nothing about the game other than a singular piece of dialogue that is at most a minute on screen and is over with just as quickly as it happens. And then let's go to the other piece of dialogue that people like to complain about. Bowser no longer being called Tubby by one of his background minions. Emphasis on background minions. It is a singular piece of dialogue that you have to actively be looking for in the background to see. And once again, it changes nothing with the story. It changes nothing with the narrative. The story still, obviously, we don't know if the story plays out the same because we don't have the game yet, but from what we've seen in the trailers, the story is largely the same, largely faithful. And, we expected that there were going to be dialogue changes. We expected that there were going to be script changes. We expected this, and this isn't something that should, I'm sorry to say, if you're going to be canceling your pre-order over a singular dialogue change, that says a lot about your character.
this says a lot about you as a fan too because we've been wanting like Paper Mario to come back to the way it was for about a good decade now. We wanted improvement for this series. We wanted our characters back. We wanted partners back. We wanted all this stuff back. We finally get it back. And the first thing you want to do is fucking bitch and complain about minor shit? Like, what the hell?
Mm-hmm. So, yeah, that should conclude this section right here. Um, okay. Let's see. And that's like the main thing that people
You should
have,
probably
been complaining about.
next thing. Uh-huh. Because really, like, what is there to complain about? Like, what is there really to complain about?
Well, that actually is a good segue into the next thing people
But
are complaining
anyway,
about. So let's discuss it. We've seen it on YouTube videos. We've seen it on Twitter.
the
We've
30
seen it
FPS.
everywhere. The 30 FPS. let's discuss. I'll give my thoughts first, and then I'll let you give your thoughts because I know you got more thoughts on this than I do. First things first, I think we need to take a couple of things into account why it is 30 FPS. Firstly, the graphical engine has been upgraded significantly since the original game, which also plays a factor as to why it's 30 FPS. But also, we need to remember this. This is not a fast paced fighting game. This is not a fast paced action RPG. This is not a fast paced beat 'em up. This is a turn based RPG. A turn based RPG. You don't need a large amount of FPS for a turn based RPG to still work and function correctly. That doesn't work. And it's another reason people have decided to cancel their pre orders, which again, if you're canceling your pre order with a game that runs at 30 FPS, which by the way is still good, is it great? No, but it's still playable. It's still functional. It still works. It still does what it needs to do. And you're complaining about something that realistically should still work for the kind of game you're playing. I don't know. I just don't think it's a good reason to cancel a pre-order over. What do you think, Apollo?
I think it's fucking stupid because, like, you and there's a good reason why, like, the game is 30 FPS. Yes, like then the hardware and shit for back then in the GameCube. The reason why the game could run the way it could is because the graphics really didn't call for the graphics, and the game engine itself didn't call for much to really do anything. Whereas now you're on somewhere, yeah, the Wii U, no, not Wii U, excuse me, the Switch has slightly more um powerful hardware, even more if you have an OLED. I don't have an OLED, so I still have my original Switch from um 2017. Uh, really, it's obvious. You have more. Everything's more. The graphics are more detailed. The sound, the graphics, sound, everything's more detailed. Yeah, it's good. Yeah, the frame rate's going to take a hit, and people like me who've been playing the game since '04 have gotten used to the timing and speed of those games. Even when you go and emulate the games, and they're stuck at a good native 60. This is actually benefiting newer folks getting into the games. And yeah, the first thing someone's going to say is, but they have a battle guru. They have training stuff now. Yes, that might be a good thing though, but people can, but imagine if you can actually pull off super guards or being able to pull off perfect guards. This because of how slow, attached slower the game is, and
Mhm.
not to mention, they are making up for that with a lot of quality of life things on there. They have a warp room now. They added in like different locations and new locations where you can save. I know that would help out people in chapter 4 a whole lot, given how much you have to travel back and forth and how dickheaded the enemies are on those routes. But even then, like even then, that's not going to dissuade me from getting this game. I paid 40. I pre-ordered this game using using the rest of the money I had in my wallet. That's how much I fucking love this game and want this game when it comes out within like what the next 13, not 13, the next 11 days or so. Well, 10 because it's about to be Sunday over here or Monday over here. But regardless, 30 FPS is not. I would understand if it was an actual platformer like Odyssey or anything like Tears of the Kingdom or Splatoon. Like you would need, you know, excuse me, you would need those extra frames for more precision this or precision that. I don't believe that you can easily have that all precision. Pers- like, I'm not even sure I'm pronouncing it right, but you get the gist of what I'm trying to say.
Mhm. And I think these are all very good points. So, this is one of the critiques that people have, and I think you said perfectly why these critiques are very misinformed. And they're basically freaking out over nothing. Um, which is a nice segue into probably the biggest piece of contention amongst Paper Mario fans. You knew this was coming. Everyone and their mother is discussing this online. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about Vivian. So we have gotten confirmation that, you know, how they're going to handle that character will be through subtlety, which I would say is a win-win for both sides. They're not removing the story. They're not removing anything of what the character is supposed to be, but they're also not putting it in your face like they did in the original version of the game, you know? And you would think that would be a good thing, but no. The trans folks online have taken the subtlety route and have decided to start attacking other people over this. And I don't think that's okay. Like I said, you can view Vivian however you want to view her. There's nothing wrong with a headcanon. I'm not going to judge a headcanon. Where it becomes an issue is when your headcanon is the reason you are picking on other people. And that's not okay. There is not really much room for discussion on this. Nintendo has made it clear throughout many of the bios, many of the descriptions, this character is 100% supposed to be, if not transgender, a femboy. And that, for some reason, enrages people. Hala, why don't you give your thoughts on this?
So I thought it was $45 for the one.
Apollo, what are your thoughts on the Vivian situation?
I view it. Yeah.
Hello, you still there? Yeah.
Ralph's card? Say yes, son.
Yeah. Okay. Oh shit. Did I do that right?
Right, have a good one.
I think that says everything that we need to know on this topic, and there are also people canceling their pre-orders over the mere fact that, oh my god, a trans character exists in this game. How dare they? Meanwhile, we also have Madame Flurry throwing herself at Mario and kissing him till he passes out, and Hooktail has an open foot fetish. But no, that stuff's okay. But Vivian existing as trans? How dare they? That is disgusting. That's too far.
Sky is blue, burden, babies are still being made every day.
Mm-hmm. So we want to leave this video off with one final message. First things first. You said it perfectly earlier. We need this game to sell. This game has been demanded for years. This is Nintendo's sign of being like, okay, we're hearing you. And if you don't like this, we're never doing this again. If you want more Paper Mario games with more creative stories, more creative character designs, more creative gameplay, a return to form like this needs to sell well. So I'm going to say this to all the people already canceling their pre-orders. Suck it up. Put your biases aside and look at the bigger picture here. We need this game to sell. Is it going to be 100% perfect to your childhood? No. Is it going to be 100% perfect to how you remember it? No. It's a remake. Things are going to change. And that's things that you need to get used to.
So, your whole Oh. Oh my God! Just
There's going to be changes. It's a remake. Get over it. Be happy we're even getting this game at all. You're going to have to put your little biases, your little hang-ups at the door. Get over it. Dialogue is going to change. The FPS is not going to be the same. Certain characters are going to be certain things that you may feel uncomfortable dealing with because you've never had a chance to deal with actual trans people existing. They exist. just like you do. We exist and we aren't going anywhere. Just buy the fucking game so we can have more games like this. More original designs, more stronger stories, more creative gameplay styles. This is what we want. And if we want more stuff like this, then you're going to need to put your biases aside. Get the game and judge it when you yourself play it. If there's problems with it, when you play it, then you are valid to critique it at that point in time. But we don't have the game yet. We don't have the game yet, so don't judge it before it comes out. Is there anything you want to add, Apollo?
No.
Okay. I think we got the things we needed to discuss out of the way. This is Kunimitsu, 877, signing out. And please, I request this in the comment section. Please, oh please, and this really isn't a lot to ask, keep the comments civil, please. Don't resort to name calling. Don't resort to slurs. Don't resort to bullying people. Don't resort to making fun of people. Just have a calm, casual, normal conversation like adults. Please. Any rude, nasty comments will be removed from the video. Okay? Good. See you all next time. Bye-bye.